Hey, Diana, did you know that unreasonable hospitality can be a competitive advantage in your law firm?
Mark, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said.
Ladies and gentlemen, jurists, and just curious, welcome to the Successful Barrister podcast. Here you'll learn about marketing, management, and life skills for lawyers that probably won't get you disbarred. Hosted by Marc Whitehead, a seasoned lawyer who remembers when fax machines were cutting edge, and Diana Berry, attorney, COO, and the brains behind the scenes. Together, they are the legal world's most dynamic duo since statutes met regulations. So if you're looking to build a practice, not a prison, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Successful Barrister, where legal legends are made.
And welcome to the Successful Barrister podcast, the podcast for lawyers and law firm leaders about marketing, management, and life skills that probably won't get you disbarred. I am your host, Marc Whitehead, alongside my COO, my number one, Diana Berry. Hey, Diana, what's going on?
We are celebrating Halloween today, Mark.
Yes, we are, and it's not Halloween, is it?
No, sir, it is not.
We as we do everything around here, we adjust the calendar to fit our needs.
Well, we try not to do
So we're
that.
doing it early. We're doing it early.
Because we will be at EOS tomorrow.
Yes, we're having our EOS day tomorrow, our full day offsite with our leadership team. So I'm going to come in today whining. I honestly feel like crap because I was forced into playing in a pickleball tournament last night for the first time in my entire life. I had never played pickleball before. And my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, my leg hurts, everything hurts. And I didn't sleep well last night, so I'm a little bit on the cranky side. And you get that. So welcome to my world.
We are spending the full day together. Well, except with the exception of your live.
I know.
Yeah, so I get a break for a few hours, but then we're doing our trust builder tonight with the rest of our leadership team.
Yes.
So it's a full day of Grumpy Mark.
I think I just need some drugs. That's just it. So I need to go find me some drugs.
And now we're all of a sudden probably in the explicit category again, Mark. We
Why?
talked about this
What did I
beforehand.
do? What did I do? I didn't say anything.
I don't think you can talk about drug. Maybe the okay, fair enough. We are talking today about the book Unreasonable Hospitality by Will. I'm going to say Guidara.
Will Guidara. Let's go with that.
Yeah, because I did ask Google before, and that was my best interpretation, or best way I could phonetically say his name. Will Guidara, who is the general manager of a restaurant called 11 Madison Park in New York City.
Okay.
Have you ever been?
I have not.
Okay.
I did see the episode of, was it The Bear?
The Bear.
Where they basically, I'm not sure if they used his exact restaurant as it, but they basically emulated his whole extreme hospitality or unreasonable hospitality concepts actually in the TV show. So I've seen the TV show. How about that?
I haven't seen the TV show, so but there is, anyway, so we'll talk about that later. So I guess everyone should be wondering, why are we talking about the hospitality industry on a legal-based podcast?
Yes, and I would know the answer if you would have shown me the outline ahead of time. But so this is the thing, is so last week, for those who actually listen week to week, realize that I sprung a new outline on Diana right before the podcast, and she was pissed about it because that's just not how she rolls.
Exactly.
So just in an effort to get me back, she has done the exact same thing to me this week. So,
actually, I wish I could say that I did this on purpose. I
you
had
did.
intentions to
You
do. No,
did.
I will be very. I'm not going to lie to you, Mark. There's nothing to lie about. If I had done this one on purpose, I would own that.
It's subliminal.
Full stop.
It was subconscious.
This book, I love. No, okay. Let's admit, Mark, did you read the book? Okay, and so this is an Atticus assignment. So
That
for
I
all
blew
of our,
off.
that you blew off, but I did not, of course, because I'm a good Atticus student. And it was, so we were supposed to read the book, and I just loved the book. But my husband and I, we are the people who sit at the bar when we go to restaurants. We find that that's the most exciting place. You get to really see the action of the restaurant. You get to figure out whether the restaurant actually has its stuff together, because you can tell whether the bartenders are working together or whether it's chaos between the front of the house and you just get to see so much.
I will say that once I saw the television show, I now view going to a restaurant differently, because I actually do start looking at those things as how well coordinated are all the different parts and pieces in the restaurant. You would be amazed to see how some of them just are awful and some of them just click.
Exactly.
And you can, once you know what to look for, it's a thing.
I think you're exactly right, Mark, because you can definitely tell when you start paying attention to the details whether they're actually functioning as a team. And I think that that's why Atticus, I missed Atticus, unfortunately, but I think that that's maybe why Atticus assigned us this book, so that we could bring the lessons that they, either taught in the book and try to apply it to our law firms.
So I will say this, we spent about 2 hours on this book at Atticus, which you missed last week. So I feel that I know the book since I saw the TV show, and I spent through 2 hours of the program.
Did you also stay at Holiday Inn Express the night before?
No, I stayed at the Grand Hyatt, which has in Orlando in the airport, which has
Mark, I was making
hardest beds in the world.
You missed my
but anyway,
commercial.
I got your reference.
Oh, good.
Yes. No, I did not stay at Holiday Inn Express. Point being is we did go in depth into the book. So as I am adept at doing, I winged it.
And I bet you did a good job. But for all of our listeners that have not heard about Unreasonable Hospitality, do you want to kind of summarize what the book is about?
Basically, as I said in the opening, unreasonable hospitality or extreme hospitality, taking it to the nth degree, can be a competitive advantage in your business, because it differentiates you from, the law firm down the street, because people have no way to judge whether a lawyer is really a good lawyer or not a good lawyer. They have no point of reference, and I think we've said this before on the podcast. Results matter, but the results are not necessarily what the client remembers long-term. What the client remembers long-term is how you made them feel. I think we're going back to a Maya Angelou quote real quick. And the whole concept of unreasonable hospitality is to make people feel special. And if you make people feel special, they will remember that, and they'll come back, they'll refer their friends, and so forth. And that becomes your competitive advantage.
Yep. And so what the book is about, though, is a restaurant's pursuit to really be named literally the world's best restaurant. I guess there's this whole contest. So somehow some people get named the world's best restaurant. And it's like not a TM, but they literally are named at this competition, the world's best restaurant. And so how they achieved that goal, I think over 6 or 7 years. And so we take those lessons and we are going to today apply them to how we can actually use them in the legal space.
Yes.
Actually today, Mark, when I showed up, I did not plan this. I still had the outline. I was working on my 5 takeaways. I was still working on it, guys. And I walked in from the door and I walked right into my office, and right there, my door was closed. And there was a Halloween gift from one of our teammates, one of our team leaders. And I automatically was like, and it was just that audible gasp. And I had no idea that it was there. I mean, it didn't even matter what was inside of it. It was just that but then I kept pulling little things out, and it was just so incredibly done. I got a little candle, a fall candle, and a mug, and all of these different things. And it was just so great. And so when I think about if that little gift could make me, do that audible gasp, how can we do that for our clients? And so this book, guys, I really highly recommend it. I found it to, the way that I think about it is it's like nonfiction masquerading as a business book. Amazon has it as a business book. I just found the stories so compelling, the writing so well done, that it's almost like nonfiction for me, which I think is why I did struggle with the outline today. So
you're trying to guilt me into, because I didn't actually read the book. That's what I think. This is what I'm feeling here.
No, I would read this one, listeners, if you want, right before 2026, and I think that's actually going to be one of my takeaways. I would read it as you close out 25, and it's so light and fluffy, but there's so many moments in it where you're like, can we do that?
Yeah.
Can I do that here in our law firm? How do I make this apply so it'll still make you think, but it's a great, like it's fun, like you're almost there in the restaurant. He's just very
I can
vivid
see how
imagery.
jazzed up you are about this.
Which is why the outline was really hard, guys, and look for the print newsletter because it's actually going to be on my next article too. Completely different. So in my head, I actually
sign up for our printed newsletter.
Yep.
Mark at
shameless plug there.
markwhitehead.com.
You'll see another take on Unreasonable Hospitality from me in our print newsletter, completely separate apart from what we're going to talk about today, which is how you can apply Unreasonable Hospitality to your law firm.
Okay, let's lay it on me.
This podcast is sponsored by Marc Whitehead and Associates, a national disability benefits law firm. Marc Whitehead runs a firm of over 60 dedicated people whose mission is to make a difference in the lives of our injured and disabled clients. Marc represents disabled claimants in Social Security disability, private disability insurance, and veterans disability claims in all 50 states. Marc Whitehead is double board certified in both Social Security disability law and personal injury trial law. Marc has litigated disability cases in over 40 states and counting and can help your clients too. Stop throwing your phone calls away. Call Marc Whitehead at 701-VIP-LEAD. That's 701-VIP-LEAD. Or visit our website at disabilitydenials.com. Referral fees are paid in all jurisdictions where it is permitted. Refer us your disability cases today and know that your clients will be in good hands.
All right, Diana, we're back. So let's talk a little bit about how you've laid it out here, the 3 lessons of unreasonable hospitality. And now that I have your outline, lesson number 1, as you have written it, so you get to explain it, you end up with the culture that you plan for.
Yep. And so okay, first listeners, sometimes we utilize AI. I'm not, giving any state secrets here to help us along with some of these outlines. But AI could not help me with this outline. And
I don't think AI
you won't be able
knows. Okay, I was going to use a word that would be explicit, but AI doesn't know crap. I think I could say that one without getting an explicit rating.
Oh, no.
AI doesn't know crap about hospitality.
Well, I was asking you for, a book summary or these types of things so that I could apply to other industries. And so the takeaways that you have are pure Diana because Diana didn't like anything AI came up with. But the lesson number 1, and it's not very eloquent, but you end up with the culture you plan for. There were 3 things in the book. And this is going to be part audible, Mark, just because I loved the way he writes.
Yeah.
But that I used to support this thesis that you end up with the culture you plan for. So the first one is a lesson from chapter 8, breaking rules and building a team. Every hire sends a message. And some of this stuff, guys, we've already talked about, and it's self-evident. But I think that when you have experienced turnover like we are right now, or when you're growing so fast, also like we are right now, there is this desire to just fill the seat, like just make the first hire, the first warm body that will actually show up and passes the background check. But you know what Guidara says is, and I think it's beautiful, morale is fickle, and even one individual can have an outsized and asymmetrical impact on the team in either direction. You need to be as unreasonable in how you built your team as you are in how you build your product or experience.
So I kind of take from that, obviously firm culture is a big thing. And, culture does not, I was going to say culture doesn't happen by accident. I'm going to withdraw that statement and say most firm cultures happen by accident, but they shouldn't. It should be something you think about. It should be something you plan for. We start with our core values, and I give a core values presentation, to everyone, hopefully the first week or so that they start here. I know you ask in your initial interviews, you ask about core values. So that's the anchor point. Where do you start? And, so we're a customer service business. So one of our core values is compassion because we represent people at the worst times of their lives. So we want to hire people that, can be compassionate, because that is something that we want that to bleed throughout the whole firm, and we want our clients to feel that, because I think that's a vital thing that perhaps differentiates our law firm from maybe other law firms, is that we try to show empathy and compassion for our disabled clients. Is that a competitive advantage for us? I think if we do it well, it is. I'm not even sure how we've talked about this, about how we might actually measure these types of things, like client surveys, NPS scores, and things like that. We keep talking about that. I think we're moving in that direction. But law is a service industry. I mean, it is a very touchy-feely thing. So we have to remember that and make sure that we're, providing those good vibes to our clients and making them feel like they've made the right choice when they come to us.
And I think that, the point that I wanted to make was this, is that, and we will also here at Marc Whitehead and Associates today have a food truck provided by Martin, for which we're very excited.
What are we
it's
getting?
Actually our marketing director's favorite food truck. So I'm very excited to try this because I've never tried it. Foreign Policy is the name of the food truck. Very excited. They have multiple cuisines. Anyway, guys, sorry, this is becoming a food podcast.
Oh, yes, let's do a food podcast.
Oh my gosh, I would love that, Mark. So, I think that as business owners or as law firm owners, we tend to think of the things like the food trucks, or maybe even Google reviews, or the other random, casual, Friday, whatever those things are, as part of your culture. Whereas I think that there is a difference in, I get to hire as a law firm owner. I make the decisions on the people that I bring in, and that's part of my P&L, rather than as part of the culture. And I'd say that those two things are actually hand in hand. And if you hire one very bad person, then that's going to completely affect your culture. And so it actually brings me to my second point under ending up with the culture that you plan for. Guys, again, not very eloquent, but very heartfelt. Don't let the rainmakers, legacy employees, and Nepo babies define your culture. That's my summary from from chapter 5, Restaurant Smart versus Corporate Smart.
Right. All right. So I have a war story, Nepo baby. I have a friend. He's now since passed away. He had smaller shop. He had an employee that was a relative of his that, I don't know, and that's one of the things, never hire a relative. Never hire anybody you're afraid to fire. So he had a relative, and this relative basically did his screening, and we used to refer him business. And we would get the clients coming back to us crying even, saying how badly they got treated by this one employee. And she was basically a cancer in his firm. And it was so bad that I had to go have lunch with this person. And I said, I cannot continue to refer to you because of this employee that you have. And he looked at me and he nodded and he goes, yes, I understand. I know the problem, but she's my relative and I can't do anything about it. I'm like, classic Nepo baby disaster. But it affected his firm culture, and it negatively affected him. I'm not the only one that brought it to his attention and said, I can't refer to you any longer because this is how you're treating my referrals. And it wasn't that this woman wasn't incompetent. She knew what she was doing. Her bedside manner was horrible.
Yeah. And so actually, yes, it affected his firm culture, but that's a direct story of also how it affected his P&L, his bottom line. There's actually a line in the book, and I'm going to mess it up because I don't have it here, but it's basically like telling the customer that they're wrong and you're right is like two mistakes. And so it sounds like that's exactly what was happening with this client. And so, I said, don't let the rainmakers, legacy employees, or your Nepo babies define your culture. Okay, part audible, Mark, if you'll allow me. At some point, Mark's going to stop me because he doesn't like this part. But quote from the book.
I love this part.
Quote from the book. Just because a few regulars love an employee doesn't mean that they should be allowed to erode the foundation of everything you're trying to build. As charismatic and charming as these people may be with the public, and as valuable as the relationships they have with the guests may seem, the collateral damages the Felixes of the world do to the culture of a business is too dire to be tolerated. I mean, Mark, you have put me in rooms in intimate rooms with Pilma. Pilma, there's greats in their own industry, the mastermind group, and AAJ and Atticus people. And there are many common themes, but they each have had either a legacy employee or a rainmaker they just wouldn't fire. They just didn't care. I mean, they're like, nope, bring me too much money, so I'm going to keep this person. Yes, I know they're cancer. Yes, I know all these things, and I'm not going to make any changes. Okay, well, what are the effects of that? You will have turnover. You will have distrust in your leadership team or in your team. You will have so many unseen things that you won't be able to figure out. At least for me, what I've seen over my career is you won't be able to put your finger on it, but you'll know this isn't sitting right. And then you'll have what I call fits and starts, either in a department or in your P&L, but there's always a actual direct correlation to these types of relationships.
Yeah, and those are hard. It's like, was it Steve Riley always just talks about Marge? Everybody has a Marge in their firm, or he warns of Marges. That's the old battle axe that's been around forever, and it's smart, and they know everything, and they know where all the bodies are buried, and they're effective, but they're still Marge.
And I would argue that...
And Marge is not a good thing.
And being, I would say that even especially in this day and age of technology, being effective matters less than your ability to get along with people. Because I can get effective from an AI product. I can get effective from, a database, but I can't get, hey, you're going to create a great team underneath me from an AI product.
Again, values. One of our core values is teamwork.
Absolutely.
1 + 1 makes 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And just knowing that you work with people who have your back, it's that audible gasp of just knowing that you're good. The point that I would make here is that these people think they are untouchable, and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
So my final point under lesson number 1, you end up with the culture you plan for. And I actually took from a conference you sent me to, Mark, the NTL Business of Law. You sent me to that one over in Scottsdale. And there was a speaker. I would almost say it was Bill Biggs, but I don't want to falsely attribute him. He is a well-known speaker on culture in the legal,
right.
Just legal space.
It very likely could have been Bill Biggs.
Yeah. And so he says that he went into a law firm. Somebody went, the speaker, I won't attribute it to Bill Biggs because I'm not 100% sure. He said that he wouldn't let anyone say the phrase crazy clients. He said that clients were the lifeblood of the firm, not a nuisance. And the minute that you start allowing your team to say this thing, I've had this, for example, this crazy client won't stop calling me. This crazy client keeps, XYZ, then you're automatically creating a culture that tolerates that, basically. And so, my lesson here is when you get the culture that you plan for is to know your non-negotiables. Mm-hmm. One of the things I came home from saying that your leadership team kind of laughed at me. I said, don't call your team staff because staff is an infection.
Really?
Staff. An
infect. Okay.
Infection.
Oh, you did a play on words.
I didn't do it. It's not even mine. I can't take the credit for that one.
I'm just still here holding my back, wincing in pain, and I'm not catching every little thing you're throwing down.
I'm probably also talking too fast, Mark, but that's okay. So I think that, guys, my first lesson from several, pulling from different resources, but from primarily Unreasonable Hospitality, is you get the culture you plan for.
All right, confession time. I would say the first 5, maybe 10 years of my practice, I was probably guilty of that. I remember specifically using the term crazy clients or pain in the ass clients. And I had a consultant that we were working with. I think it was on intake side. And I made that comment once. And to that consultant's credit, because I could have fired him right on the spot, he shut me down. He literally shut me down and took me to the woodshed and said, Mark, no, this is not how you think of your clients. And he took me through the whole thing of your clients are coming to you at the worst time. And I never really put it in those contexts. So I give this particular consultant great credit for changing the way I thought about it and the attitude that I had. And because looking back on it, my attitude to me, it was just a flippant way of, referring to somebody. And if anybody knows me, I tend to be flippant sometimes. But he took me out to the woodshed and he said, "Don't you ever do that again." And was like, he's absolutely right. This is probably one of the best consultants I ever hired. Just for that one little lesson that he gave me. And so I would say that was probably, I'm 33 years in, I would say that's probably somewhere around year 10. And it totally changed the way I thought. So, I preach a lot about vision and core values and all this stuff. I will tell you that the first part of my practice, I didn't have any of that. It took me years to start figuring this stuff out and realizing that I had to get to the fundamentals of, who I was as a person, what I wanted my firm to be like, what I thought my core values really were, or at least what I aspired to be. And I'm not sure exactly where I'm trying to go with this, but I just remember, just like I said, we're having a little therapy session here. I'm confessing that, there was a time in my life where I did a shit job with this. See, there's your explicit.
Great. But also, I think that that's important, Mark, because
who rates whether we're explicit or not? Is there like an AI program that does it?
Apple does that.
Oh, screw Apple.
Well, I know you're definitely explicit.
Yeah, no.
So I think, though, that it's important, especially because that was really before you got as big as you are now, obviously. And your leadership.
And maybe it's what held me back.
Exactly. And your leadership now, the way, if you had said that now, it would be pervasive throughout your culture. So what's our lesson number 2, Mark, that we're going to talk about today?
All right. As soon as I can find my glasses, I can read it. Lesson number 2, unreasonable hospitality is not hard or expensive.
So I love this story. And actually, I saw this part of The Bear. My husband did watch The Bear. I did not. So, and I don't know if The Bear actually took all of EMP, 11 Madison Park, the restaurant on which Unreasonable Hospitality is based. So the story, the audible part that we're going to get today on this point is, so Guidara, as general manager, went to get a street hot dog in New York City and had the chef plate it with a, quote, swoosh of mustard and a swoosh of ketchup. Then they took the hot dog to the table where the guests, quote, freaked out. And so that freaked out was in italics in the book. The author, Guidara, goes on to say that the hot dog was the, quote, highlight not only of the meal, but of their trip to New York, and they'd be telling the story for the rest of their lives, unquote. So also from the book, they talk about how it's not the lavishness of the gift that counts, but its pricelessness. And so the story from the book is about Ruth Chris calamari. And I don't go, but do you know about this?
It's funny. So I took my wife to Ruth's Chris probably the second or third date that we ever went out on, and it almost bankrupted me because I just really didn't have a lot of money back then.
But it impressed her.
It impressed her, and she still talks about this. And the funny thing is, we've never been back.
Yeah. Well, so Ruth's Chris, obviously a franchise, so it's kind of hard to create moments of kind of unreasonable hospitality. But there is this off-menu, delicious fried calamari. And so you can't order the calamari. You can only have it sent out to you. But since it's not on the menu, then people don't know the exact dollar price of what the appreciation level is. So the whole point is that, okay, well, if you get sent a complimentary drink, you know that, oh, well, they love me $14.99 worth, or they are apologizing for $14.99.
Where have you been at? It's $32 now.
Where are you going, I think is the better question.
Okay, well, that was in Monaco. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
in New York City, it's 26.
Well, I'm here in Houston and visiting
it's
the dive
at least
bars.
2022 in Houston.
So, but I think that that's the point, that you don't have to, you can still, even as a franchise, as a law firm, you can find ways to create moments of unreasonable hospitality. And so
I have an example.
I love this.
So, one of my best employees ever, Alma, was our receptionist back in the day when we were back over at our old building. And, God bless her soul, Alma is no longer with us. We suffered through her last illness together. But what Alma did, this was back in the day when clients used to come in and we had appointments. And so Alma had this little template, and she would make a little welcome sign for the client. You know, Marc Whitehead and Associates welcomes Ruth's Chris. And then under it would have the appointment time, and then she had little frillies around the edge, you know, like a little certificate or something. And she would print that out, and she would tape it up and put it on the conference room door. So when the client came in and they were ushered into the conference room, they saw their name on the door and their time and all this stuff. I never told her to do this. She just did it.
And it was so inexpensive.
Oh, it cost, what's a sheet of paper cost? Nothing, you know?
Yep.
She just did it. This one of the reasons I love this woman. She's, like I said, one of the greatest employees I ever had. But it created a moment, and not only any moment, like the first moment, the first impression. And it was priceless, and yet cost nothing.
Yep. And so from this, I'm pulling from a lot of different resources, guys, for today's podcast. We had to read, or I didn't know if we had to read, but I read the book Power of Moments. Have you read that one?
I think that wasn't assigned reading, and yes, I did read that.
You're making that up so much.
I listened to it.
You have no idea.
I listened to it on Audible.
Okay, but Power of Moments.
My character's being assassinated here. I object.
So from Power of Moments, guys, they say, look for the transitions, the milestones, and the pits. And that's how you can create moments. So for us, look for the transitions. That's your handoff from intake to operations. Look for the milestones, your settlement anniversaries, and the pits, the surgery dates, the hospital visits, and those types of things. You know, some of the things, Mark, that we've heard some of our Atta cousins and our Pillman mastermind friends do, win packages. So, you know, when clients get their PI settlement, not only, I mean, they'll make a big to-do when they come get the check. A lot of on the PI side.
Right. That's just standard one-on-one. If you're not making a big to-do about handing your client a check, you know.
Well, let's talk through that.
I think
walk through that for our listeners.
Well, I think in the PI world, I rarely know any lawyer that hasn't gotten that part down. You know, that's sort of the no-brainer. When they get a check, celebrate it. A lot of times, you know, like come take the picture and they hold the check up and something like that. I know most lawyers do that. I know we used to do that. That's almost table stakes now. Not that every lawyer does it. I'm sure some don't. But I think taking it like a step further, and I think one of the things that were mentioned, I think I heard this in Atticus, I'm not sure where, but basically an anniversary gift. So 1 year after you give them the check, send them a reminder or send them a how you doing, just something to acknowledge the 1 year anniversary of closing the case.
Yep. And so in addition to this, so these are different, like these are, guys, again, the milestones and, or the transition. So when you hand them the check, you do a nicer package of, you know, maybe a Yeti cup, like the branded Yeti cup with the law firm, or, you know, a coffee mug, something really nice, much nicer than what you've maybe given them in the past. One of our Atta cousins, it does the lottery card on the anniversary of the settlement date, which I think is, I mean, how much more
I have mixed emotions about that.
Why?
Well, lottery, I've always had sort of a love-hate relationship with lotteries. I kind of feel like they're
scratch-offs?
Yeah, I don't know. I have this moral thing that they prey on the economically disadvantaged. I don't know, but that's just a moral thing I have.
Okay, well then at Marc Whitehead Associates, we won't be doing this, but I do believe other people have done these scratch-offs. So it's that moment of, oh look, I could win some, you know, $5 today. I didn't do anything to purchase it, but so
yeah. What if you send them a scratch-off that's worth nothing? Then you sent them nothing.
But it's the opportunity, you know.
I know.
The possibility.
It's the thrill of it.
Yeah,
it's the thrill of it.
Possibility. So other Atta cousins, or I think this was actually Poma, popcorn on the date they, you know, like a popcorn gift box.
Right. So here's a question: can you buy lottery tickets where there's a guaranteed win? Pay extra?
No. Our producer is saying no.
No. Well, that's rude.
So
we should invent
you might
that.
have a new business.
We should invent that.
That
would be an ultimate gift, is a lottery ticket that's guaranteed. At least you know when you send it, it's a guaranteed win. So
I think you should definitely try.
All right, we're gonna trademark this.
I think they did that at McDonald's and people went to jail.
Oh, they did. Oh,
we're not doing that anymore.
All right.
So
it was Diana's idea, wasn't mine.
It's nowhere in my outline. So, you know, another more thoughtful gift are Yeti cups for your referral partners, but from their alma mater. So, you know, so like you could send me a Baylor Yeti. So again, you're showing them that you're spending money, but also like I took the time to research where you went to undergrad. And so I'm getting a Baylor. Thank you for the referral. Here's a Baylor Yeti for you.
Right.
You know, Go Bears or something like that. You would never write Go Bears on
No,
there.
I would not.
But also I've seen blankets. Some of I think Poma Mastermind said that they got the blanket down to like $11 and they're perfect if you're in the PI space. Or even we found one where we would have used it for our elder law client if we had Marc Whitehead blankets. They were in the hospital and I just thought a blanket would have been a perfect, you know, gift because you can't always bring, you know,
Women love blankets because they're always wrapping themselves up in the blanket.
but it's also very cold in hospitals.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you have a client that's going there for a surgery, I think that's a great thing. You know, Mark, I think you brought up in a very recent podcast, know your client's t-shirt size if you're going to send a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I mean, don't just assume everybody's a large because, quite frankly, I've had many t-shirts given to me that were larges that should have been 2X at the time. So
do your due diligence. And, you know, one of the things, you know, I love Cassidy Lewis and we've leaned on her heavily before we got our current marketing director. And so one of the things that she said at the PILMA Summit, which we highly recommend that everybody attend, but at the summit, she said that she tracks in her case management software which case managers are sending gifts. So in their case management, the way that Cassidy, don't be mad if you listen to this podcast because I'm sure I'm going to mess it up.
Cassidy didn't have time to listen to this podcast.
Oh, thank goodness, because I'm probably going to mess it up. But the way that we're going to implement it at Marc Whitehead and Associates is if you can, on the matter page, check a box that says, you know, request a gift, and then it gets sent to your client relations team. She would then track who was sending the gift, which case manager requested the gift, the NPS score associated with that client, and then maybe even win rates. Like, not that those two things are correlated, but it just, you know, it's make sure if you're doing this and there's a way that you're allowing your team to create moments of unreasonable hospitality, that you also track, you know, your NPS scores to it.
Yeah. So you mentioned one word, it was like the dip, the negative. It was the blip.
Yeah, the pits.
The pits, thank
Power
you.
Moments calls it the pits.
Right. So I think that needs to be dealt with as well within this concept. So we have pits. So our pits are, you know, when clients get an application denied or they get their request for reconsideration denied, we as a firm know that statistically 70% of all applications are denied. Okay. However, I've never met a client that expected their application to get denied because they always assume they're in the 30%. Even though we warn them, we tell them you're probably going to get denied. We're probably going to have to take this up further up the chain. We expect it. We know it because we've dealt with it thousands and thousands of times. The clients invariably always think that they're going to be in the 30% that get it.
Yeah, and we shouldn't.
So how you handle that and how you, number one, how you prep for that, but then once it does happen, how you basically have that conversation and how you explain that to the client, how you reassure the client that this was kind of what we expected was going to happen. You know, it's okay, and here's the plan going forward. How you handle that dip, that pit, the bad news that, you know, you invariably have to give clients from time to time. I think how you handle that is very much part of the whole unreasonable hospitality theme that we're talking about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, I mean, even from our basic, you know, case status, they have an AI chat or an AI feature in their chat response. And so, you know, my basic example that I've probably used too many times on this podcast is your application has been denied. And now Case Status, the AI feature, will allow you to actually, you know, try to make it a little more soft, you know, and professional. We regret to inform you that even the tone of it can be.
I don't even like the I would rework that. I was like, not that we regret to inform you. You know, we need to inform you that, you know, as kind of expected or as we warned, 70% of claims get denied, and yours is one of those. You know. Therefore, but we have a plan moving forward because you always have to start with, we have a plan.
Yeah.
We know how to move forward from here. This is not we're not concerned. We're not alarmed. This is okay. In other words, just reassuring, it's okay. It's all okay. We have a plan. This is not new. We're going to take care of it.
We'll wordsmith that later, Mark.
Yeah, we're going to wordsmith this. I come from the attitude, I don't like to use the word regret.
I hear you, sir. We will take that out of all of our language.
All right, well, that's our next podcast, though.
So lesson number 3.
It's not really going to be our next podcast.
Yep. Lesson number 3. And I struggled with this lesson, but very, very basically, lesson number 3, do what everyone else is not doing.
Marketing 101, differentiate yourself.
Well, which is hard, right? Because we go to all of these conferences to find out what everybody is doing, which vendors they are using and not using. I think you've said it before on this podcast, but basically we all have the same 3 SEO agencies, so we all have the same 3 web developers and, those types of things. And
so I would push back on that slightly. 90% of your competition are not at these conferences. Yes, we see the same people at the conferences over and over again, and they tend, and because they're the cream of the crop, and they rise to the top just as we're the cream of the crop, and we rise to the top. 90% of the people out there, of the firms out there, are not there, and you just don't know it because they're not there. So by doing these things, you are differentiating yourself. So now you only have to deal with the top 10%. You don't have to deal with the other 90%. This is my theory.
You just made my point. You're competing with the top 10%, and the top 10% are using the same 3 ad agencies. But
what she said.
But the point was that 11 Madison Park became the best in the world because they saw and then did things differently that nobody else did. And so one of the examples was empowering your team to lean into their passions. And so EMP, 11 Madison Park, called it the ownership program. They gave departments, whether it was coffee, cocktails, or beer, to different team members, which resulted in the restaurant being named one of the best beer programs, for example, in America. But before they became the world's best restaurant, they had one of the best beer programs.
What's a beer program? I'm a connoisseur, and I've never heard of this. What is this?
It's when a restaurant dedicates effort, money, intentionality to their beer menu. So that you
like
can
a wine
go.
list,
Exactly.
but they have a beer list.
Exactly, but like not just your regular beers that you're going to find everywhere, but unique beers and different, sours and these types of things that you won't get everywhere. And so, 11 Madison Park, way before they were named the world's best restaurant, they had one of the best beer programs in America.
Hey, you know what my superpower is?
Drinking beer.
I know how to make beer disappear.
This is definitely going to make us explicit because now we're talking about alcohol, Mark. So moving on, I was really trying not to get us rated explicit this time.
I'm going to start dropping F-bombs.
In a time when we are, particularly I think at this firm, when we're trying to systematize everything, even our client responses, because you're trying to create a scalable organization. So you want the client responses.
You have struck on the issue here.
Would you like to tell me what that is?
If we had one client, we could be stupid, extremely unreasonably hospitable if we had one client. If we had 2 clients, that cuts our efforts. Our efforts are now divided by 2, and so forth and so forth. Now, what happens now that our efforts are divided by the hundreds or even the thousands?
Yes.
This is the hard part about doing this at scale.
Yeah, and so the rooms that you put us in are primarily, that is as close as we can get as personal injury. Because they are plaintiff driven and all the things. And so we hear a lot from our, PI friends, but of course you can do it. You don't have that many clients.
Right. They have maybe a few dozen or maybe 100 clients.
When you're dealing with 5,000 matters like I am. But, I think that my point was, so in a time when you're trying to systematize everything and make, every client communication basically the same, because apparently now I have to go take out regret from a lot of my templates.
Yes, you do.
So we're trying... You have to try to encourage your team to make their workday different. So one of the things that I thought about to apply this would be, some of your people love to dig into the medical evidence. So allow them to, teach the rest of the team shortcuts for current conditions. Other people love new tech. So let them become your AI champion. So find their passion and allow them to, to delve into that, even though you're trying to systematize this as much as possible.
Figure out what their superpowers are.
Exactly.
Diana, what's your superpower?
I wish you would tell me, because I always suck at that opening. Like, what is it? the icebreakers. What's your super? Oh gosh, this is why I don't go to these things. The introvert and
We're gonna work on this. We're gonna work on this.
Mark's eyes just like, is this what you do when you go represent me at conferences? Yeah, I shut down. I'm like, I don't know. But after you figure out what their superpower is, Mark, you're gonna then let them lead, which is a lesson from chapter 10 of Unreasonable Hospitality, creating a culture of collaboration. Let them lead. So once a week, 11 Madison Park would allow a member of the team to lead the pre-meal meeting. Do you know what that is from watching The Bear? It's when the manager teaches, inspires, and kind of gets the team aligned before service. Like, these are our specials and these are the ingredients.
Oh yeah,
those
that
types of
thing.
things.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
They need to know what's on the menu, and they need to have tasted everything on the menu.
Exactly. So pre-meal meeting, and so once a week, 11 Madison Park would allow another team member, not manager, to lead the meeting, and it gave a lot of confidence. And public speaking, taught them public speaking, which is actually a leadership skill. And so it increased confidence, and also which intangibly led to better customer service, because people just walked differently because they had because they led a meeting. And so,
oh my God, I was at a restaurant the other day and I felt bad. I had this young kid who probably was at his first waiter job ever, and he was so freaking nervous. He didn't know how to talk to me.
yeah.
He didn't know how to take my order. He was and I was like, can I take you back to the back and let's just have a lesson real quick? I just wanted to jump in and help him because he really wanted to do good. I could tell he wanted to do good, and he just was clueless. And I'm like, where's your manager at? I mean, who's training you? Somebody help.
Well, clearly somebody was not training him.
That was my point. And I was like, I was about to jump in. I'm like, I've never waited in my life, but I could figure out a few things here.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I would do is, if you have a daily, or, we used to have huddles when I came to the firm. We were COVID back then. So we encouraged the team to have daily huddles, just checkpoints, because everybody was remote. If you still have those in your firm, or if you have weekly meetings, let other team members either lead the meeting or lead a part of it to give them ownership. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up was that 11 Madison Park got rid of the host podium. It's the one thing that you can count on when you go into a restaurant. They will have a little host podium, right?
Right.
They're going to have a little iPad now.
Well, it serves a function.
Yeah, right. And so they did the thing that is very restaurant, and they got rid of they now. So when people came into the restaurant, they were greeted by a person that they were able to recognize by name. They did all of this legwork to when they confirmed the reservation. I guess they got enough information from the guest that then the reservationist person would then go Google the name, like Marc Whitehead, Houston, Texas, find you. And so that when you walked in the door, they would say, "Good evening, Mr. Whitehead. Thank you so much for coming."
It's a little creepy.
It is a little bit. But I think by turning on their head everything that you expect a restaurant to be, it was, I think that you can, it made it a little bit more magical. Be like, oh, you were expecting me? Like,
wow.
Of all the things.
And what
I
if you
think
got
that's
the
really
wrong
cool.
person?
Yeah.
What if my doppelganger showed up?
And think about them when they were doing this. Google was not nearly as good as it is now, right? So I'm sure they did mess up a few times.
Yeah.
So, but the way that I thought that we could apply this is using your case management software to track little things about your client. What's their favorite sports team? Like, if I were to get Anthony, a little gift, it would definitely be Astros related, right?
Yeah, don't get him anything Dodger related. Oh yeah, he would throw it at you.
Yeah, he would be like, what do I do to make you mad, Diana?
Why? Yeah, I know.
What are your favorite hobbies? Now I know I could get you some beer and you'd be happy. Okay, not
it better be the right beer.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like,
that's the thing. You got to be careful that you bring me some light beer. I'm gonna throw it at you.
So not getting Mark
no
light beer.
diet
Listeners,
beer. I do not do diet beer.
Listeners, if that's on your list for Mark, please don't do that. But I think that you should encourage your team and make it easy for them, like in your case management software, to make the client experience exactly that instead of just a transaction. That's just because they are one of maybe 2,500 clients that they have in that department does not mean that they need to be treated like them. So make it an experience for them.
And you have to think this through. You can't wing it. I think what we need to do, for 2026, we need to rethink all of our client touch points. Not that we do a bad job now, but I definitely think we could do a better job.
Absolutely.
And get rid of the word regret in all of them, for number one.
Well, and actually, Mark, you are stepping on my 5 action items.
Oh,
so
shit.
with that,
Oh, hell. Did I say a bad word
now
again?
you've done 2, Mark. You're
Hell
doing it
is
on
not
purpose
a bad word.
now.
Hell is just a place.
We can edit it out.
No, we're not. We're not. We do not edit anything out.
When we come back, Mark and Diana's 5 action items.
This is Marc Whitehead, lawyer, entrepreneur, and business coach. Thanks for listening to the Successful Barrister podcast. If we've stirred your juices, hit me up with an email at mark@markwhitehead.com. Remember, Mark is spelled with a C. And get on the Successful Barrister newsletter mailing list. Even better, let's set up a call. I'd love to talk to you about working together, talk shop, or just shooting the breeze.
And we're back.
All right. All right, lay it on me, Diana.
Well, so we have 5 action items for you guys to hopefully take Unreasonable Hospitality and apply it to your law firm.
Yes.
You're
and,
first.
And for some reason, I have 3 and you only have 2, and I don't understand why since this was your outline, but, I do what I'm told.
Very rarely, sir, but also, what's number 1?
I pay lip service to what I'm told. How about that?
I know. I can't wait to see what your number 1 actually is.
Well, okay. My number 1, as this is the season, at the end of the year that we start working on our budget for next year, is give your team a budget from which they can send or mail gifts to clients. Okay. So set it up. So we've been working on this. Actually, we worked on it last year, and then the project kind of fell through. And hopefully now that we have a new marketing director, that project will get revived.
I'm so excited about this one.
Yes. To basically send a wow package with swag. Now, we send sort of a wow package now, but it's more with literature, with materials. But we want to add a little bit more pop to it. We want to send some swag. So, which means we have to create a budget. Well, how much, it costs money to mail it. It costs money to create it. It costs money to put the labor together, so forth and so forth. So we come up with a budget. So I know Craig Goldenfarb's wow package, he says his budget's $85 a client.
Well, and I think that's
so he
right?
actually has a set dollar, and he goes, we're going to do $85 a client, and therefore they work backwards from that. And how much can they get for that amount of money to put into that wow package?
And I think that's exactly it, Mark. But also giving your team a method, and that's actually my number 2. Kind of make it easy for your team to track things about your client in the case management software, but also to request those small gifts, right? So, client's going into hospital. Okay, request a blanket. Shouldn't be let me send an email randomly to somebody and hope that this gets done. Can make it a checkbox and, make it a way that you can track it in your case management software so that they can, acknowledge it and then move on with their day.
Right. Number 3, plan on doing at least one thing in 2026 to create a culture of unreasonable hospitality. Just do one thing. I would say the easy thing to do with what I just described earlier, what Alma did, was create that cute little sign and put it on the conference room door. The only thing is these days we don't have clients come in as much as we used to. So that is actually a problem with Unreasonable Hospitality, is that we do so much remote work for clients. But I would bet you that a lot of attorneys, a lot of listeners out there are probably still meeting their clients more face-to-face more than what we do in our firm. But if you do have face-to-face contact with your client, I always try to make sure every meeting is memorable. So that would be the low-hanging fruit of the first thing I do. But pick one thing and do it.
Absolutely, guys. I think it can be intimidating. Be like, well, they're the world's best restaurant. Of course, it's easy for them. But no, to start with one, and I think that's a lot more palatable. My 4th action item would be to empower your people. That's just business 101. But also, let them lead meetings and let them find their passions and train each other. It really goes back to Mark's. Hey, Diana. Customer service is a competitive advantage in this increasingly robotic AI world. So if you can have people that are invested in great customer service, or invested in the team, invested in helping each other, that just automatically creates better customer service because you have engaged team members.
That reminds me of an example that I can't remember if it's Glenn Gutek or Glenn Finch or one of the Glens that seemed to be everywhere in Atticus. And it's funny, in Atticus, everybody's either named Glenn or Mark.
Yeah.
It is amazing how many Glens there are and how many Marks there are. Anyway, so one of the Glens was given the example of the Ritz-Carlton, who one of the snazziest hotels in the world. Every one of their employees is empowered with a certain budget to make things right if there's something wrong, even down to the cleaning staff. The cleaning staff has a certain amount of authority that they can do something to fix a problem. And so basically, I'm just taking what you said a little bit further, is give them a budget or a monetary authority if necessary to fix problems or to make things right when things go wrong. And therefore they don't have to run. They don't say, I got to go talk to my manager about it. Well, that's just the biggest cop out ever. I can fix it right now. So anyway, empower your people. Number 5, list your non-negotiables when it comes to your culture. So you have to think about that. I have 3 that I have. So mine are my core values. That's a non-negotiable. Everybody has to, if you come to work for me, you have to agree to abide by my core values. Secondly, the mantra, the client comes first. That's a non-negotiable. And third, here's the fun one for me. My third non-negotiable is never, ever say to me, it's not my job.
Yeah, I know better than that.
That will send me through the roof, okay? If it's in front of you and it needs to be done, it's your job. Regardless of where you think you are in the hierarchy, if there's a piece of paper on the floor and you're in the reception area and you're a big, busy trial attorney, bend over and pick up that piece of paper. It's just everything is everybody's job if it's sitting square in front of you. Just never tell me it's not your job. That's just one of my big non-negotiables.
Yeah, but I think that you have to know your non-negotiables or you end up with a culture that says things like crazy clients or full of Nepo babies, legacy employees, and just rainmakers that do things like can't pick up paper from your floor.
Yes. So what's our takeaway from the big takeaway is go watch The Bear.
Go read the book. Don't watch. Read a book.
Oh my God. Just, some of us just need some veg time.
This is a great veg book.
Okay. Well, The Bear won how many Emmys for best comedy?
They are the world's best restaurant.
Okay. Well, fine. Go watch The Bear and read the book. So.
And let us know what you think.
So he says you're what's the word? I'm visual. I needed the visual stimulus of the show. So you can read a book.
Okay.
Fine. Anyway, with that, we're gonna quit arguing about We have to get out of here. I have to go get on a TV program today. So
I want a food truck.
and then we also have a food truck coming, so we got to get the hell out of here. So with that, I want to thank everybody for listening to the Successful Barrister podcast, where legal legends are made and disbarments are surprisingly rare. So beat the rap once again. I'm Mark.
And I'm Diana.
And together we're the dynamic duo of law. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, rate and review it, please, and share it with your fellow overworked lawyers out there who could use a little inspiration or maybe a little kick in the pants. For more episodes or resources, visit us at successfulbarrister.com. Hit me up, Marc Whitehead at Marc Whitehead, actually at marc@marcwhitehead.com. Marc spelled with a C. So send me an email, especially if you want to get on our mailing list. And please, most importantly, do not forget our wonderful sponsor, Marc Whitehead & Associates, a national disability law firm, which can be reached at www.disabilitydenials.com. So, until next time, great practice, great life. Run with it. Bye.
Bye.